dim ta di ta dim ta de re na.
In southern India, a cultural treasure is preserved by a small but dedicated school, a dance school. We followed the sounds to India, to Nichagram, where a new generation of people are learning an ancient cultural art. Just 18 miles from the bustling streets of Bangalore, hypnotic sounds drift through the air, evoking images of ancient India. The small village of Nichagram is just 10 years old, but the villagers are dedicated to the preservation of an ancient art form. Student classical Indian dances. The dream of village founder and renowned classical dancer Pratibha Gauri Bedi was to create a place to practice, protect, and especially promote her art. Lynn Fernandez is Nichagram's managing trustee.
Her idea was to take dance back to the common people, because she'd realized that it had moved away from the commoners. It had become an elitist thing. You had to pay a lot of money to either watch dance or to study dance.
Gauri died in 1998, but her dream lives on. Every Sunday, children from the surrounding area come to Nichagram to learn dance. Instruction is given by the school's full-time students, a community service provided free of charge. The day ends with a concert of classical Indian music.
These programs have caused a very, very definite change, because whereas once upon a time these kids thought of dance as being break dance, today they can identify the different dance forms, certainly.
Nichagram's 12 resident dance students are chosen through a national audition process, usually after they finish high school. They will spend 6 years perfecting their skills. The program is tuition-free, but the students must help with teaching and administrative services. Operational expenses are paid by performance fees and corporate sponsorships. The teaching methods of Nichagram are rooted in classical Indian culture. Early morning jogs, yoga, and the study of philosophy are all a part of the training. And in addition to each day's 8 to 10 hours of dance practice, students garden and cook. Sarupa Sen was once a star pupil at Nichagram. Today, she is the school's artistic director.
Nichagram was meant to be a place where dance would come second only to being a good human being.
The village has already produced 2 widely acclaimed soloists and a world-class ensemble specializing in Odissi, the sensuous dance inspired by the figures in the ancient temple of Orissa. Bijani Satpati, one of the group's most accomplished Odissi performers, has been inspired by her Nichagram experience.
When I came here, I wanted to be a performer. I love to perform, but I would like to be a dancer who would inspire the dancers in future.
The troupe has toured worldwide, receiving favorable reviews at every stop. And along the way, they've been exposed to different dance styles and techniques. The Nichagram dancers are now experimenting with ways to incorporate these new influences into their art form.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4.
While the new works clearly have their roots in Odissi and other Indian dance, the Western influences are hard to miss. For the dancers, this new fear.
Last 10 years, I have been practicing it very much within the framework of the traditional Odissi structure. So the most important thing for me is, the hardest thing for me is to walk on the quicksand of not knowing.
The challenge of learning, of transforming Odissi dance, is being helped by the New England Foundation of the Arts and a grant from its National Dance Project. For one thing, the money allows the musicians who will tour with the ensemble to become a part of everyday life at Nichagram, working on original compositions. Nichogram will take its new choreography to audiences across the world in the fall. The dancers of Nichogram are ambitious. They want to adapt this ancient art form to the modern world.
Overrun by animals who don't respect borders or boundaries. In India, people still worship elephants, but now, as correspondent Peter Standring reports, those people of Bengal struggle to keep their lives from being trampled by their idols.
In the southern Bengali town of Vishnupur, best known for its terracotta temples, a herd of 40 elephants is touring the area, and they are not welcome. The region's golden paddies of rice, the cash crop of local farmers, bear the mark of the elephant's arrival.
These elephants come down to these plains for crop in the crop season because cereal crop cultivated by man is something they like. More nutritious, more palatable. To them, it is just another variety of grass.
But weighing up to 11,000 pounds each, elephants don't tread lightly and usually leave behind extensive damage to a farmer's plot and livelihood. And when elephants enter villages, buildings are often turned to rubble. This man's kitchen was destroyed by an elephant following the scent of haria, an aromatic rice wine. Forestry officials can do little to prevent the situation, so each year their efforts are to manage the elephants' movements in order to minimize the damages.
Drive these elephants towards their natural corridor. The movement of that elephant should be very well guided so that they should not damage the crop much, and they should follow their own natural way.
But driving large herds of elephants is not easy. During the day, the animals find cover amid the trees. There may be signs of their presence all around, but it takes time to pick up their trail. Usually, that happens first with a smell, then a sound, and finally, a momentary glimpse before the elephants retreat for deeper cover. The elephants do venture out into the open to eat and play, but that's mostly at night. And so this is usually when the drives, called hula parties, take place. Forestry officials organize men to walk the fields with tall torches, shouting loudly in an effort to coax the elephants along their way. Generally, they're not trying to turn the herd, simply to push the animals in the direction they're facing. But the herd doesn't always cooperate. It often refuses to leave an area, sometimes even coming back to the very same place the next day.
Here, the forests are in patches everywhere, in patches. So, in driving away from one patch, where exactly it will go, from which patch it will choose, it is impossible to predict.
To make matters worse, some farmers light brush fires to keep the government drive from coming their way and damaging their crops. This man complains that the people chasing within the hulas seem to be part of a festival. And this farmer says if the elephants are not chased and are left alone, they will not cause as much damage to the crops. Responding to the criticism, the Bengali Forest Department has tried to provide advance notice of the elephants' movements. They're also conducting hula training programs for local villagers and are experimenting with surplus crops planted inside the forests, hoping to satisfy the elephants' appetite before they trample the cultivated fields. But while authorities test new methods to manage elephant migrations, this young elephant provides an object lesson in the animal's stubborn nature. Separated from its herd during a hula drive several years ago, the calf was rescued and came to this zoo. After living under human supervision, he has no future in the wild. But some things are instinctual. Like his relatives in the wild, he still wants to get his own way.
In India, the faithful are polluting the Ganges River. Religious ceremonies bring millions of people to the river, threatening the very thing they worship. But one man has made protecting the Ganges his cause. Come with us now to Calcutta, along the banks of the Ganges, for tonight's cover story. The Ganges travels more than 1,500 miles, from the Himalaya to the Bay of Bengal. In India, it is worshipped as a goddess, a source of inspiration, a pilgrimage site for millions of people. The Durga Puja is celebrated each fall in Calcutta. It is a festival devoted to the Hindu mother goddess Durga, the source of all cosmic energy. The holiday celebrates the triumph of good over evil, Durga's mythological defeat of the demon king Mahisasur. Much of the 14-day observance centers in and around the Ganges. People bathe in the river, rituals of remembrance, invoking the souls of ancestors. In the finale, Durga idols are dropped into the river, symbolizing the goddess's return to her home in the Himalaya. The holiday is among the most sacred in the Hindu calendar. But environmental activist Subhas Datta says Durga worshippers are harming another local deity, the river itself.
They think that it is something they are at liberty to misuse it. They have never applied their minds that how they should treat this river, which is giving them a lot of benefits and services.
Datta's complaint is that the discarded idols pollute the river, and he's launched a campaign to clean up these religious ceremonies. An estimated 3,000 idols are constructed each year, most made of straw and clay, attached to a bamboo or wooden frame. Artists paint the statues and decorate them with traditional dress, jewelry, and weaponry. After 2 weeks of prayer, they are paraded to the riverbank where Durga is immersed in the water.
The problem is the religious sentiment of this immersion. They've said that immediately after the immersion, the structure is to be removed and to be taken back to the place where it was worshipped.
But that rarely happens. While the frames are often retrieved and used to build the next year's idols, Datta says the paint and clay dissolve and contaminate the water, and that the cloth, straw, and metal debris clog river canals. Late last year, he sued the government, arguing for greater protection for the river. He immediately won the case.
This petition is very specific, that this immersion is causing problem to the river. It should be regulated.
Understanding the passions aroused by religious ceremony, Datta is not asking worshippers to cancel the festival, simply to safeguard the river by quickly removing the Durga memorials from the water. He wants local authorities to make certain that happens at this year's event. Datta admits pollution from Durga idols pales in comparison to the industrial waste and raw sewage that flow freely into the river.
This is a very small part of the contamination of the water of the river, but we have to start somewhere.
In the end, preserving the Ganges means more than conserving a valuable natural resource. It is the protection of a spiritual way of life for millions of people and the rescue of a goddess. The river is said to possess healing powers, but today she needs the help of mortals to heal herself.
To satisfy the thirst of tea drinkers the world over, especially back in England, the British East India Company began clearing large patches of forest in India in the late 19th century.
They created large tea estates, some of which still exist today. But in the last 100 years, deforestation has increased and competition for natural resources has put people in conflict with animals, specifically leopards. National Geographic Today traveled to India, to Jalpaiguri, a city near the famous tea city of Darjeeling, for tonight's cover story. The work is hard in the tea gardens of northeast Bengal. Women spend 8 hours each day picking leaves to produce one of the world's great teas. But the work can be dangerous. With every step, they run the risk of being attacked by a leopard. Edawari Uran was mauled 4 years ago, and like most victims, she survived. But a few are not so lucky. The leopard problem is not new. Dilip Saha is a manager of a large tea estate.
The animals used to come and go away. What is disturbing is that they are now trying to find permanent shelter in tea.
Shrinking habitat has forced leopards, traditionally shy animals, to seek shelter in the tea plantations. But that puts them in direct conflict with humans.
This is the only place where they get a cover. Then the streams are flowing. They can get some wild rabbits, goats from the labor quarters, dogs, stray dogs.
Now,
On a human being, they never learn how to kill. The killing instinct is never to hunt, and they'll die out of starvation.
because of that, leopards alone. If cubs are discovered, no one vision of a simple fact of life here. People and